foggy look at the Golden Gate Bridge. My gosh, you can hardly see the bridge. Not too uncommon for the bridge to be obscured by the fog. Low visibility there in the Bay Area. And a live look back in the Big Apple there. Lady Liberty, our normally grainy shot of Lady Liberty as it gets later and later at night. By the way, we are still monitoring this live vantage point out of Gaza as well. Within the past half hour, I've seen at least one large explosion. It's indicative of the fact that the IDF is still carrying out military activity within Gaza. The two main objectives, as retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery told me just moments ago, eliminating Hamas and bringing home the remaining hostages, living or dead. There are a number of hostages whose bodies sadly remain in Gaza to this day. We're going to pivot here, back stateside, live look at the U.S. Capitol on this Friday evening. Let's talk about the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court handed President Donald Trump a major victory on Friday in a case involving birthright citizenship by curbing the ability of judges to impede his policies nationwide. It's changing the power balance between the federal judiciary and presidents. The 6-3 ruling, authored by conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett, did not let Trump's directive restricting birthright citizenship go into effect immediately, though, directing lower courts that blocked it to reconsider the scope of their orders. The ruling also did not address the legality of the policy. It's part of Trump's hardline approach toward immigration. To discuss more, we have Professor Robert Steinbuch standing by. He's with the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. It's good to see you. What's going to be some of the most commonly misunderstood factoids about what's happened today during this ruling?
Great question, Austin, and it's great to be with you. That this at all addresses the underlying legal issue of birthright citizenship. We haven't gotten there yet. The Supreme Court has yet to address that question. The only thing the Supreme Court ruled on was this notion of nationwide injunctions. In other words, you go to some trial judge out, let's say here where I live in Little Rock, and the judge says the federal government can't do such and such, and that applies to the whole country. And the Supreme Court said, that doesn't make any sense. If you want to have something, a ruling by a court that affects the whole country, you've got to bring a class action. And we have those, right? That's not a new concept. And you have to follow all the rules for class actions. And then if the court rules in that way, it can go up on appeal, and an appellate court can evaluate whether that determination of class certification, as it's called, is valid. So all this decision does is somewhat limit trial judges in applying the law nationwide. But they have a way to do it. It just takes a little bit more work to get there. And I will caution, I'm very happy with this ruling because I think it's a sound judgment, but it's not a panacea. It will not mean that trial judges can't issue injunctions that affect the country. It just means it will take a little bit more work for them to do it.
Let's get some reaction from lawmakers, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He said the Supreme Court has recklessly limited the ability of federal district courts to issue nationwide injunctions. However, the judicial fight to protect birthright citizenship is alive and well. Every child born in the United States is an American citizen. We will not rest until that constitutional right is completely and unequivocally protected, the Democrat says. Also, liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor calling the ruling a travesty, Professor. She said that it's a travesty for the rule of law. In her written dissent, joined by the court's two other liberal justices, Sotomayor criticized the court's majority for ignoring whether Trump's executive order is constitutional. There might be some folks at home wondering what birthright citizenship means. Let's lay this out in plain English, Robert. What is it?
It is the question as to whether someone who's born in America, irrespective of how their parent or indeed their mother, his or her mother, got here, is automatically a citizen. So if we have an illegal alien who crosses the border and comes here against the law and has a child, the notion of birthright citizenship is understood to mean that child nonetheless is a citizen. And President Trump has issued an executive order saying, no, we're not going to follow that. We're not going to abide by that. And the Supreme Court has never squarely addressed this question, even though many people have suggested otherwise. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled on a related question, and most people have interpreted that related question as meaning that the Supreme Court has ruled on birthright citizenship, but they have not squarely ruled on birthright citizenship. And I can't predict how they will rule, meaning they may very well rule consistent with that old case that birthright citizenship is part of the Constitution. But we don't know that for sure now.
Before we have to take a break, how long before we get an answer on the birthright citizenship question?
That will be during the next term, so sometime next year.
Might be a while. All right. We appreciate your time. Professor Robert Steinbuch is with the University of Arkansas. We appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too. Great to be with you.